Good evening, everybody. My name is David Bakey, and on behalf of the Cunningham family, I want to welcome each of you to this evening's event. I know many of you have traveled a number of hours to be here this evening. I know that means a lot to the Cunningham family. Nearly 50 years ago, Janet Erickson stepped foot on the Northwestern campus as a freshman after completing advanced STEM classes while in high school. Next week, she will leave this university having served in its highest position. During her tenure, she has enhanced academic policies, added academic programs, and built and remodeled numerous buildings on campus that will have an impact on generations of students to come. Tonight, we hope to share some stories and facts about Dr. Cunningham that many of you may not know. Some of you may have heard me share at the retirement reception that we had on campus a couple of weeks ago, the first time that I met Dr. Cunningham. I was a senior at Helena Military High School, and Northwestern had a student teacher that was teaching our accounting class. In walks a very young person to observe that student teacher. That person, as you would expect, was Dr. Cunningham, and at the end of her evaluation, she certainly gave a plug for Northwestern's business and accounting program. Ironically, several of the students in that class, including myself, ended up choosing Northwestern as our program of study. For those of you that attended the spring alumni reunion a few weeks ago, you had the honor of hearing Tony Crouch speak about some of his thoughts on President Cunningham. Tony was 1 year behind me in college, and he continues to work in higher education, and we speak on a regular basis. Both of us share our same thoughts about President Cunningham. An exceptional faculty member, a dedicated Phi Beta Lambda sponsor, and a young leader on campus willing to help anybody with any challenges that they may be experiencing. I was one of those lucky individuals that was able to learn from her academic teaching and then had the privilege to work alongside her for many years in several administrative capacities. This allowed me to personally work under one of the best mentors in higher education. I've also been blessed as I was able to witness her family growing up. This included several attempts at babysitting the kids where I quickly realized I had no idea how to change a dirty diaper. And Drew, I apologize for the diaper on backwards. Over the years, Dr. Cunningham and I have traveled thousands of miles to countless meetings. A few things that I learned very early. One, I would always have to drive the car. Second, she's very patient, especially when I would become lost before Google Maps existed. She knows every Brahm and Sonic location in the tri-state area. And finally, she's a fairly picky eater. So I can promise you tonight we will not have chicken, and we will not have asparagus on the menu. At this time, I would like to ask Caitlin Mossberg, Dean of Student Affairs and Enrollment Management, to lead us in our invocation.
Before we start dinner, I'd like to offer a blessing for you. Please bow with me. Our Heavenly Father, we thank you for this night and for this time of fellowship and celebration. I ask that you bless this time together, bless this meal to the nourishment of our bodies, and bless the hands that prepared it. I ask a special blessing upon Dr. Cunningham and her family as we celebrate with them tonight. And may the joy and the celebration we share tonight bring you praise. I pray these things in Jesus' name. Amen.
As we continue our celebration tonight, we had a few special guests that were not able to join us. So we have some videos, and then we're also presenting the slideshow that we presented at the Alumni Spring Reunion, and it's just a great highlight video of the university. So we ask that you guys watch these videos, but please start eating during these videos. You're welcome to do that, and enjoy your meal. Thanks.
Senator Jim Inhofe here, and I want to take a moment to wish Dr. Cunningham congratulations on 16 years as president of Northwestern Oklahoma State University. As the second alum and the first woman to serve as president of the university, you've brought quality perspective and oversight that has made your students, the university, and in turn Oklahoma better. You have always understood the need to put people over policies, and because of that, your students have and the staff have been able to thrive. Dr. Cunningham, your service to Northwestern Oklahoma State University and to Oklahoma has not gone unnoticed because of administrators like you. Oklahoma's future is brighter than ever. Okay? Here's to you.
President Cunningham, congratulations on a job well done at Northwestern Oklahoma State University. Few people have the opportunity, the privilege, to spend enough time at an institution to mold it, to form it, to make it what it is. Your tenure at Northwestern, working your way up through the ranks, is really kind of spectacular in the world we live in. It says something about the Regent's confidence in you, the community's confidence in you, clearly the staff, faculty, and the student body. How Northwestern could be so fortunate to have not only a skilled administrator and a great leader, but somebody with a CPA background? Oh my, no wonder you've accomplished the things. Not just at the home campus in Alva, but also all the amazing things at the Woodward campus. Again, you've been a pleasure for me to work with. I look forward to working with you in whatever adventures life takes you in your very much earned retirement. Northwestern and Northwestern Oklahoma has been made better by your experience and your efforts and your enthusiasm. Congratulations.
Dr. Cunningham, thank you for 16 years of faithful service. You're going to leave behind an incredible legacy. As we look backwards towards all that you've done, both for fundraising, helping the physical aspects of the campus, as well as helping the cultural aspects of the campus, continuing to be able to raise up new doctoral students now in nursing and what you're going to do for the future of healthcare in Oklahoma, as well as preparing so many graduates in so many other areas. Thank you for your leadership. You've made a real difference, not just right there in Northwestern, but for our entire state and nation as you're raising up great students to be great leaders across our nation. Thanks for your engagement. I look forward to seeing what you'll continue to do even after retirement to be able to help the benefit of our state, and look forward to bumping into you again in the days ahead. Ride, Rangers, ride.
What a wild ride we have had these past 2 years. As a university, we have managed the effects of COVID and what that meant for our campus community. We spent a year missing events, missing connection with our community, and learning how to deal with Zoom classes and meetings and with what was dubbed as the new normal. We did our best to show our prospective students what life would be like on campus when they started at Northwestern as freshmen during our virtual Ranger Preview event.
Inside of Harrod Hall, you'll find the financial aid, business, and registry offices. Let's go take a look.
We held a virtual commencement to ensure our students had a ceremony to honor their accomplishments and the time they got to spend here at Northwestern. And we even had a parade to show our students how much we missed them and that we wanted to wish them well, and we couldn't wait to see them in the fall.
This past year was dramatically different than the one before, and we were able to experience a normal classroom setting and normal student activities. We lifted our mask mandate, and it seemed to be a breath of fresh air for everyone. With CARES money, we were even able to offer incentives to our campus community to receive the vaccine. While the past 2 years have been inundated with COVID-related items, our university was able to experience great accomplishments.
In 2021, Northwestern's Division of Education ranked among the top 85 most affordable early childhood education programs in the nation. And we were also able to invest $50,000 in scholarships for our teacher candidates who entered the classroom as secondary or special education students. Our Enid campus also partnered with Northern Oklahoma College to offer a fast-track course of study for the completion of the elementary education degree, so our students may earn an associate's degree and a bachelor's degree within 3.5 years.
Our nursing department also saw great rankings in 2021. Our online nurse practitioner program was named 13th best in the country out of 203. And the social work department was awarded a $40,000 grant to develop active learning environments for social work students.
Through the use of CARES money, the university was able to make many needed updates to campus infrastructure. We have updated Wi-Fi capabilities on all campuses. Some HVAC equipment will be replaced this summer, and the old power plant building was demolished to make way for what will become an outdoor classroom. The mall project is starting to take shape with new concrete work by Ryerson Hall and an updated look to the Student Center's west entrance.
In late 2021, Northwestern was awarded more than $2 million for a Title III grant, which started our Office of Leadership, Academic Success, and Superior Outcomes. In 2022, our online nurse practitioner program was named the best in the country. And our Northwestern singers had the opportunity to perform at the Oklahoma Music Educators Association Conference and had pieces commissioned just for this performance.
Over the past 2 years, athletics has benefited from the generosity of our supporters. Athletics received a donation from the late Jim Booth to renovate our athletic training facilities. The north end of Purcell Fieldhouse received a renovation because of a group of generous supporters and Northwestern. This area now houses our Sports Hall of Fame members. Our sports teams continue to reach new highs each year and battle for recognition in the ever-tough Great American Conference, including 2 recently named Coaches of the Year in their sport. One of our proudest moments this past year was when our athletic department achieved a 3.26 overall GPA, which is the highest in recent memory.
We also created an esports venue that allows our students in that organization to have a space to compete against the teams from across the state. We now offer scholarships to these athletes. Recently, the Oklahoma State Regents for Higher Education held its meeting on our Alva campus, with many of them, including our new chancellor, able to take a campus tour. Showing our state regents the opportunity students have with us was a great highlight of the year.
One of our most recent accomplishments was the production of The Music Man. The Fine Arts Department dedicated so much to create a successful musical with a cast and crew of more than 60 members. The community rallied behind the production with a full house for all 3 performances.
None of these accomplishments would have been possible without the steadfast leadership and guidance of President Cunningham. Let's take a look back at some of her memorable moments as a Ranger and thank her for her incredible service she has given to Northwestern.
Thank you.
Thank you for your dedication.
On behalf of faculty and staff,
Thank you.
thank you.
On behalf of the entire Northwestern News staff, we'd like to say thank you.
Thank you for your service.
Thank you for your generosity. Thank you. Thank you for your leadership.
Thank you for caring.
On behalf of Northwestern alumni,
Thank you.
Thank you for everything.
Ride, Rangers, ride.
Well, if I can get your attention, we'll go ahead and continue with the program. It's my honor to get to introduce some special guests here. If you would please hold your applause until we get everybody introduced, and as I introduce you, if you would stand for us or at a minimum wave at us, that'd be great. So, first I'll start with Dr. Cunningham's family. Her husband Rick Cunningham is here. Her son Brett and his wife Casey. Son Tanner and his wife Erin. And Drew and his wife Ashley. We also have Sister Leanne and her husband Randy. And brother Leon and his wife Donna. Sister-in-law Vicki Cunningham. And sister-in-law Carol Erickson. In addition to that, if you you're a current member of the senior staff, if you would stand. And then former senior staff members, if you would stand. Thank you. Current Russo regents and staff. Former and retired college presidents, as well as other presidents. Thank you. Former Russo regents. And finally, if you're with the Northwestern Foundation as a current or former trustee or board member. And now let's thank everybody for being here. So to continue our evening, I'm going to ask Todd Holder to come forward. And a little bit of background, Todd and Dr. Cunningham's relationship began way back in 1980 when Todd took a managerial accounting class under Dr. Cunningham. And I'm not sure if there's a statute of limitations on FERPA, which is the Federal Education Rights and Privacy Act. So I'm just going to not chance it and say, based on Todd's grade, Dr. Cunningham has always had high standards for her students. But Todd and President Cunningham have worked together on numerous committees over the years and boards, and Todd is an incredible supporter of Alva and Northwestern. So please welcome Todd to the podium.
Thanks, Dr. Bell. Appreciate that. I brought my phone because how many of y'all have ever worked with David Paikey on a committee? So he asked me several months ago if I would say a few words about Dr. Cunningham, and then he said, "Don't worry, Todd, you'll have another meeting, and we'll tell you what to do." So sure enough, and the first thing he said when he got 5 minutes. That's it, 5 minutes. This is going to be an hour and a half. It's going to be over. It's 5 minutes. You can hold it to 5 minutes. So David, I'm going to set my timer. And then today I get a text from Dr. Paikey, and it says, "Hey, we have a little bit of change of plans. Can you go ahead and stretch that out a little bit?" but what Dr. Peggy doesn't know that we have some plans for him later on during this. That's good. So what an honor and a privilege to be here. Thank you very, very much for allowing me to be part of this fabulous celebration. So Dr. Janet Cunningham started her career at Northwestern in 1973, which was prior to my birth, and probably, well, close. She started, of course, as a teacher, all of which you know, and I do not remember what grade I made in managerial accounting, but I'm sure it was not favorable to her standard. Do you remember, Dr. King? No. Thank you. So she moved from teacher to vice president of business affairs, and vice president of administration, and executive vice president. And you know what? There just wasn't any other class that she could get to, so they said, you know, we're going to have to make her the president because she's filled all these other roles. So then she became president for 16 years. 16 fabulous years. Lots and lots of things happened within those 16 years, none of which she will take credit for, because she is the most selfless person that anyone will ever meet. Anybody agree? I will not stand here tonight and tell you everything that she did because I can't remember, nor do I have enough time for that. Some of the very highlights that I can think of are the Vision to Victory capital campaign that went absolutely swimmingly. Dean Linder press box and turf field for the football stadium. The Todd and Mary Margaret Miller baseball press box and turf and lighting. Ryerson Hall. Some of the programs that she was active in bringing to Northwestern is the Ag Ed program. She saw a need for the fact that we didn't have enough universities where they could get Ag Ed degrees, and she sought that and got it. One of the first doctoral programs for Northwestern was the DMP program, which I think everybody is extremely proud of. So the next thing that I really want to talk about that I think is a true legacy that she is mainly responsible for is the Endowed Chair program. Now, I don't know how many of you realize the importance of the Endowed Chair program and what it does to all universities, but the state of Oklahoma graciously put a program in place that would match every $250,000 endowed chair with another $250,000 to put those things towards education. So, and I'm not sure if any of the other university presidents or past presidents are here realize that Northwestern might have been number 3 behind a couple of larger universities that we really won't mention, with 95 endowed chairs. Because I took managerial accounting in high school, I can tell you that equates to $23,750,000 worth of donations, right? So you double that because the state of Oklahoma finally decided that it was time to match that, and then you come up with $47,500,000 for our university to use to educate our children. It doesn't get any better than that, folks. Thank you. So I need to tell a couple of stories. I really would like to talk about King Rick, but the problem is that Dr. Peggy also said this was not a roast. Pretty much takes Rick out of the picture. So I was attending a meeting with Dr. Cunningham, and I was merely a messenger at the meeting. But there were several people in the room, Dr. Lohman, Dr. Hannaford, and I believe Dr. Bell, and myself. And then Dr. Cunningham showed up, and she sat at the end of the table, so that we were in the Jack Annis room, that great big huge table, right, and these people. Okay, well, thanks. I appreciate Thanks for having me, folks. I really appreciate it. Are you sure? Can I get like 2 or 5 or?
I'll give you a sign.
So anyway, the room's kind of quiet, and we were talking, and she walks in, and she was a couple of minutes late, as I remember, and she sat down, and we were talking a little bit. And so somebody said, well, what's it going to take? And you know, Dr. Cunningham's a very gracious, kind person. She's a great conversationalist. She doesn't mince words, but she's pleasant about her delivery, right? She looks up and says $5 million. And that was it. Ducked her head, walked on, and at that point I was mortified, and but that was the boldest that I thought I had ever seen. And it was a good thing after that. I won't go into any more details about that meeting because it got a little tense after that, but I will tell you that it was a good meeting. I have seen her disappointed in people a couple of times, and I really won't go into that because David said this is supposed to be a really clean thing and no roasting, but I will tell you that if you want to get her dander up, you will lash out at one of her students or her staff, or you will lash out against her university. Those 2 things will get this young lady wound up, and don't think there's not fire that can come out of those eyes. Thank you for that. So I already mentioned the fact that she was selfless to a fault, and I think that needs and bears mentioning again because she truly is not only a dear friend, but absolutely selfless. She is interested in this university, and she is absolutely interested in every student that goes through. So the next thing, I'm a guy, right? And I had this little thing that I wanted to unveil. And so I went to the linen closet, and guys are, maybe I'm not very good, or there's some that are better. But when you want a straight sheet, right, the one that doesn't have the elastic in the corners, all you can find is the other one, the one that's got the elastic in the corner. So I really wanted a kind of a nice one without the elastic. But as the wind, so I was carrying this across the pond, and the wind was coming, and the sheet was flying, and it was just quite a little escapade. So I was kind of glad that I had that. We'll talk about that in a little bit. The next thing on the agenda, though, is, David, do you still have time? Don't you think you need to be changing? Don't you think you need to be changing? So he said there was a change in plans and some of the things that weren't going to happen. Kelsey, I watched every single slide and picture that went through on your slideshow, every single one. And I just have to admit that I was kind of disappointed because I was dancing in one of your scenes downtown. I remember exactly what I was told to do, and I'm sure I did it better than anybody else, and the video is not in the slideshow. David, did you it's time. You're not? So David and I had this agreement that this afternoon, when he told me I could only talk for 5 minutes, then he said I could talk for more. He said, okay, I'll do it. And I said, okay, fine. And so what the next thing that was supposed to happen is David was supposed to jump out of the cake and sing Stars and Stripes Forever in the red, white, and blue Speedo. So I want to show this to you. I'm kind of proud of it, and I hope you appreciate it. This was actually part of, oh dear. It was part of a float on a homecoming parade, and I saved it for a while. So I want to leave you with one thing, and it's what the heck, you're welcome, mighty glad to have you, even though we may not ever mention it again. Thank you.
know, students are at the heart of everything Dr. Cunningham believes in. One of those former students is Ethan Sackett, who graduated from Northwestern last year and immediately became an employee in our retention and recruitment department. In his time here, he served as our Student Government Association president, working closely with Dr. Cunningham. He's a tremendous worker and exemplifies all of what Dr. Cunningham wants her students to be. I would ask that he step forward and give a few remarks.
So, it was the summer of 2017. Location was Boston, Massachusetts. I was with the President's Leadership class, standing at the platform, waiting for our subway to arrive. You see, I'm a kid from Allen, Oklahoma, and I've never been around a subway before, other than when I'm trying to get a fancy sandwich, and I'd never seen someone ride the subway unless that one time you counted when this guy was wearing an orange jumpsuit, and I don't think he was supposed to ride that subway train. But that's beside the point. So we're at Boston, Massachusetts, and we're waiting for the train to arrive. And I didn't know much about this, but I knew one thing, and this is what Dr. C told us. As soon as the train arrives, there will be a bunch of people that will rush off of this train, and you need to wait for them to rush off, and then you need to get on that train. So the train arrives. I wait for the people to get off the train, and then three of us dart to this car. We get onto the subway train. The door shut behind us. We had made it. I give a congratulatory nod to the three other students that were with me on that car, and then I turn around and I look outside the window, and then the train starts to move. It starts to move. And then I look out the window and I see a familiar face of a student that I just met. And then I see another familiar face, and another familiar face, and another familiar face, and 14 more familiar faces of students that I had just met. And then I see Rick's familiar face. And then I see Dr. C's familiar face. And I look at the two other students that are on this train with me, and we realize that we had made a massive mistake. So before we could frantically do anything, we reached for our phones as teenagers do, because, you know, phones solve everything. But before we could even unlock our phone, we had received a message from President Cunningham. And she said, "Students, the train will stop for 3 times. On that 3rd time, you'll want to get off, remain on the platform, and we'll see you shortly." You see, when everything is chaotic and it seems like no one knows what's going on, Dr. C knew what to do. And that was my first observation, or my first lesson. Now, let's move to February of 2018. It was my spring semester of my freshman year. And that's around the time frame when I was trying to figure out what I should major in. Should it be mass communications or marketing? And then I just started to doubt myself. You know, is college even the right story, the right place for me? Should I even pursue higher education? And I started having these doubts of my abilities and who I was. But within 24 hours of having those doubts, I received a message from Mr. Mossberg and President Cunningham. And they wanted me to present at the state regents. You see, I was in this moment in my life when I didn't feel comfortable. I wasn't qualified to do this. But you see, Dr. C saw the potential in me. Mr. Mossberg saw the potential in me. And so I was able to go onto this, to present at the state regents. Because there's one thing that I learned from PLC classes, that leaders jump on opportunities. And I'd be foolish not to jump on this incredible opportunity that Dr. C provided for me. And so I present at the state regents, and it was a wonderful opportunity, and I was living off this high of presenting at the state regents. And just when I thought it couldn't get any cooler, later that evening, Chancellor Johnson sends me an email, and it was a photo of me presenting at the state regents, and it was my first photo with Dr. C. That night, I realized by the time I graduate Northwestern Oklahoma State University, I better get a better photo with Dr. C. So let's fast forward to May of 2021. It's graduation day, and I still hadn't gotten a good photo with Dr. C yet, but I knew, no worries, it's graduation day, and everyone that graduates gets a photo with Dr. C. Now, I didn't just get one good photo with Dr. C. No, I got 4. So I'm walking up the stage, I take the photos with her, and then I walk home, or I walk down the stage, and then later that night, I get the photos. Here's photo 1. I'm a little embarrassed just because my eyes were shut. But it gets better because then I open my eyes. I don't know if you can tell, but at least my eyes were open there. And then the third photo, there, it's only covering half of my face, so you can at least identify that it's me, even though it's like I'm playing peekaboo with my tassel, but that's beside the point. But the fourth photo, the final photo I got, no tassel was involved. But I learned a really, really important lesson from this fourth photo. And this fourth photo taught me that no one can grow a mustache like Mr. Rick Cunningham. All right. So let's now go to August of 2020. School was about to start back up. You know, we had gone to quarantine and we had gone through the pandemic and we were going to have classes in person. And I had the wonderful opportunity to serve as the SGA president during that year. But right before classes started, I was in a dilemma. I ran into a dilemma of I didn't know if it was right for us to put on events, or really I just didn't know the direction I should take with the Student Government Association that year. And what's great about Dr. C is that her door was always open to the students. And so when we had a concern, we felt comfortable going up to Dr. C's office and talking with her. So August arrived and I sit down with Dr. C and I ask her, Dr. C, and of course we're masked up, so this was different, but I asked Dr. C, what should we do this year with SGA? What advice do you have? And she said, Ethan, we're in these roles to serve the students. And the best way to serve the students is to connect with the students. So as you go throughout this year, I encourage you to think outside of the box, to be creative, and find ways to safely connect our students. You see, throughout Dr. C's years of service, she has always been focused on the students. Always been focused on the students, and it's been so clear for me as a student, for my siblings who also were students here, she's always been focused on those she was serving. It was more than just a title, it was about the ones she was serving. And so as I decided when I found out that I had the opportunity to give this speech, I wanted to reach out to some previous PLC students that had learned from Dr. Cunningham. And I asked them, when you think of President Cunningham, what is the biggest attribute? What do you think made her so successful during her close to 50 years here at Northwestern? And 3 common themes came up. First, Dr. C was passionate about Northwestern, about Northwest Oklahoma, about the students she served, and the Ranger family. That was evident, and everyone in this room knows that she was passionate about that. Second, she was personable. She knew us as students. She didn't just know our names. She knew more than just our names. She knew what was going on in our lives. And it was so evident when we interacted with her. She would be curious. She genuinely cared about our well-being. She wanted us, when we first took a step on campus as freshmen, and then when we took our last step as graduates, she wanted us to grow as people and to discover our true potential. Each of us she cared for. And finally, the last attribute that all these PLC students mentioned was that she was present. She was present. And the best gift you can give someone is your presence. And she was active at all the different student organizations. I was involved in theater and SGA and a bunch of other events, and she was always there to support the students. She was present, and it reminds me of, we'll go back to April of this past year. There was 2 different events going on campus. The Native American Student Association was putting on the first ever powwow here on campus, and it was going to be right at 7 o'clock. But right at 7 was also when the University Singers was having their concert. And I was talking with Dr. C earlier that day, and I was like, Dr. C, which one do you plan on going to? And she said, well, I plan on going to both. And I'm like, mind blown, obvious. Oh, I should have thought of that. So I'm like, well, I'm going to go to both as well, and I'm going to try to beat her. And so I show up to the Native American Student Association powwow, and I'm sitting in the back, and I can kind of see where she's sitting, and we're watching the whole grand entry. And then the grand entry gets done, and I look, and she's gone. And I'm like, okay, I need to dart in my car, because I've got to beat Dr. C over to the concert hall. So I'm running to my car, and I drive over to the bus barn where the concert was at. And I park my vehicle, I, sprint, a little bit, politely sprint to the bus barn. And when I get there, I see everyone seated, I scan the room. And not only was Dr. C there, she was up front, towards the front, sitting with her grandkids and Rick. And that's when I came to the realization that President Cunningham has the ability to teleport. I mean, it's the only logical explanation, and I'm sorry to blow your cover, Dr. C, but I had a feeling that none of the other presenters were going to mention this. I mean, it's the only logical explanation of how she could attend all of these different university events throughout her years, to accomplish so much during her years of service, to be a wonderful mother, a wonderful wife, and to do it all. So, let's take one last stop, and this stop is into the future. This stop is June 30th, your last day here at Northwestern as the university president. As you leave your office one last time, and you leave the Horseshoe Drive one last time, I want you to know that you left this place way better than you found it. As we interviewed different university students and freshmen when they first arrive on campus, we asked them, why did you decide to attend Northwestern? Out of all the universities that you could go to school at, why did you go to Northwestern? And the most common answer that we receive is that when I first stepped onto campus, it felt like home. When I interacted with the people, it felt like I was a part of a family. You see, Dr. Cunningham, throughout your years of service, you have made this place a home for so many students. And I just want to thank you for that, for making this a home and for making this a Ranger family. And throughout my time of watching President Cunningham give speeches, I've learned one thing. The best way to end a speech is with 3 simple words. Ride, Rangers, ride.
Thank you, Ethan. Joining us tonight are 2 ladies that have worked closely with President Cunningham. Regent Connie Riley and Regent Jane McDermott served on the Regional University System of Oklahoma Board of Regents and would like to say a few remarks.
Connie and I are certainly honored to be asked to speak tonight for someone that we respect so highly. We decided we'd kind of stick to the basics. It's been a little hard for us to keep from getting emotional about all of this. So tonight we thought we would read to you the proclamation, the resolution that was given to her by the Regional University System of Oklahoma. It says about everything that we wanted to say and how much we think of her. Whereas President Janet Cunningham served as the 19th president of Northwestern Oklahoma State University from 2006 to 2022, and whereas President Cunningham has had a distinguished career in higher education that spanned over 43 years, including 16 years as the first female president of Northwestern Oklahoma State University. And whereas President Cunningham established Northwestern's first doctoral program, the Wisdom Family Foundation Doctoral Program for Rural Nursing Practice in 2016. And whereas President Cunningham has worked tirelessly towards increasing financial contributions and growing the number of endowed chairs at the university to 70, as well as leading the university through its first capital campaign, which raised $28 million. And whereas President Cunningham has actively led numerous students through the President's Leadership class for 16 years, while engaging with the students throughout their freshman year and beyond, and traveling with her students yearly to Boston, Massachusetts. And whereas President Cunningham, a CPA herself, taught numerous accounting students for 11 years, both at Northwestern and the University of Oklahoma, and also sponsored the Phi Beta Lambda Business Club as a faculty member at Northwestern. And whereas President Cunningham led the process to become a Division II member of the NCAA and guided the Vision for Victory campaign, which built athletic facilities to create an enhanced experience for fans and student athletes. And whereas President Cunningham has distinguished herself throughout her presidential tenure as a trusted advisor to her fellow presidents, an exceptionally skilled steward of public resources, a wise leader who confronts challenges and makes difficult decisions, and a treasured colleague whose integrity, honesty, and civic mindedness have brought credit to her and to the regional university system of Oklahoma. Now therefore be it resolved that the regional university system of Oklahoma bestow upon President Janet Cunningham the honorary title of President Emeritus, and hereby commends her for her strength, her leadership, academic expertise, and commitment to collaboration. The Regents extend to her an expression of appreciation and commend her for her contributions to the success and reputation of Northwestern Oklahoma State University. And we extend to her best wishes, you and Rick, for years of happiness and satisfaction, which are rightfully expected after such a faithful and dedicated service. And be it further resolved that this resolution will be entered into the official minutes of the Regional University System of Oklahoma, and a copy signed by the chair of the board, and be forwarded to Dr. Cunningham in Alva, Oklahoma tonight. So congratulations to you, Rick, and your beautiful family, and thank you for loving Northwestern as much as we all do. And I'm going to say it too, Ride, Rangers, Ride.
At this time, I'd like to introduce Dr. Steve Turner, President of Northeastern State University, a longtime colleague of President Cunningham, to make a few remarks.
Well, good evening, everyone. I bring you greetings from great country. I can assure you when I left Tahlequah, the topography changed. Somewhere, maybe at Medford, I'm not sure. But I can tell you it's always an honor, it's always a joy to be here. I love the Cunninghams, I love this institution, and I so appreciate the hospitality and friendship that we've enjoyed through the years. It is certainly my privilege, it's an honor to speak on behalf of the Russo presidents to my colleague, confidant, fellow former CFO, and friend, President Janet Cunningham. I know President Cunningham as a person of faith, a person committed to her family, and a respected leader. She is timeless and eternally youthful. Besides Janet, the only other person I knew who didn't age was my great-grandmother. As a kid, I was always a little afraid of my great-grandmother because she never changed. I may be a little afraid of Janet. When Janet puts on that red blazer, she becomes a real-time, real-life superhero who always looks the same, acts the same, and genuinely inspires and encourages those she comes in contact with. As my hair has turned from gray to white, Janet's hair is always the same. Same preppy look, it's lovely. Same color and not a hair out of place. Honestly, maybe she's a female version of Dorian Gray or Benjamin Button. I have known President Cunningham for many years. For the past 10.5 years of her 16 years as president of Northwestern Oklahoma State University, I've been blessed to serve as a colleague president at NWOSU. Before that, I knew her as a CFO. In some ways, we are kindred spirits because we were taught by two friends and two long-serving presidents, Dr. Joe Struckle and Dr. Bill Cole. Dr. Struckle served here from 1975 to the year 2000. President Cole served ECU from 1989 to 2006, and before that, Redlands Community College from 1976 to 2006. These men were from a different era and could be tough. However, I believe both of us learned a lot from them, some good, and perhaps a few lessons not so good. In these jobs, we get to meet and interact with many smart people. However, not all smart people are wise. Janet is both. When she speaks, others listen. When the Council of Presidents meets, Janet keeps the group grounded. She served as the chair of the Council of Presidents in 2011 and as chair of subcommittees, every subcommittee since then. She is a keeper of history and traditions, but is quick to embrace new ideas. If you evaluate many of the major initiatives and accomplishments in the Oklahoma system of higher education over the past 2 decades, Janet was involved. She was always willing to get away from taking credit. She promotes the contribution of others while being content to be part of the greater team. Even under the most difficult and heartbreaking personal and professional circumstances, President Cunningham is the picture of grace. This university and her family know she is a virtuous woman whose price is far above rubies. Strength and honor are her clothing. I can't make comments about Janet without recognizing her husband, Rick. At every event that I have attended at Northwestern, Rick was there. Always smiling, supportive, and engaging. They're a great team. Their model of taking PLC kids on a leadership trip to Boston is one that I've replicated at NSU. They take freshmen. My wife Penny and I take our PLC senior students in their senior year to Washington, D.C. This year, because the state of things in D.C., we'll be going to Boston in July, and once again, Janet came through and helped me plan the trip. On a very personal note, I will miss having the regular interactions with President Cunningham. I will miss our phone calls and conversations about a long list of topics. When I hear, "This is Janet," on the other end of the call, I know that this will be time well spent. I told Penny a few days ago that I don't know what I'm going to do when Janet and I don't visit on a regular basis. From typist to teacher, CFO to president, Janet Cunningham has served this institution, this community, and the state of Oklahoma with poise and dignity. I wish for her the same joy and happiness in retirement that she has experienced in working at Northwestern. You deserve it. I want to close with a poem from one of my favorite performers from the past, poem and little jingle, who had the ability to make others feel better about life. A person who could find good in all people, regardless of their circumstances. Janet has the same abilities. Red Skelton started performing at age 10. He is best known for his national radio and television shows between 1937 and 1971, especially as the host of the television program, The Red Skelton Show. He performed his last show in 1988. He always ended his shows with the following poem. I think it's fitting, this could be coming from President Cunningham, but it's also coming from me to you, because you're this type of person. And it went something like this. The time has come to say goodbye. My, how time does fly. We've had a laugh, perhaps a tear, and now we hear goodbye. I really hate to say goodnight, for times like these are few. I wish you love and happiness in everything you do. The time has come to say goodnight. I know you've made a friend, and so we'll say, may God bless you until we meet again. Janet, you have made generations of friends. On behalf of your friends, may God bless you until we meet again.
Thank you, Dr. Turner. We appreciate that. Living for many years in the same neighborhood as the Cunningham family allowed me to watch their three boys grow up. I have memories of Brett running to my garage, asking if he could crush my aluminum cans that I was saving to recycle. His fee for crushing those cans, a can of great value soda out of my refrigerator. I also remember Drew and Tanner running to my house with their rollerblades on, thinking they were sneaking into my driveway. I really think they just wanted to hear me yell at them to tell them to go back home. Probably the most memorable event was when the four of us traveled for an extended weekend to Las Vegas. Rick and Janet, maybe someday you'll hear the rest of the stories. The planning committee felt that it was only appropriate that we have a chance to listen to the three Cunningham boys tonight. I ask you to welcome Brett, Tanner, and Drew to the podium. Gentlemen.
I'm Brett Cunningham, and by the way, that was not the fee I charged. That was the only thing David would pay me. I'm the oldest son, I like to think the best son, and my brothers and I would put together a short speech and decided that the last person to get to town had to give the speech, and so that falls to Tanner. I'm going to let Drew speak real quick, and then Tanner's going to get to it.
I'm Drew Cunningham, and Mom, you're welcome, because as you can see, they're wearing matching suits, and the only reason we got them in suits is because of my wedding. So otherwise, they wouldn't be looking this good tonight. No, we're going to let Tanner kind of give our thoughts on our mother that we've kind of come up with together. So I'll let the middle child take it over.
Yeah, so I got tasked with this. Just so you know, Brett and Drew did beg for this chance to get up here and do this, but bottom line, no big deal there. So when we were thinking about things that we wanted to say about you, In your career, there's a few things that came up. And two things that we really kept coming against were family and your favorite saying, go the extra mile. Go the extra mile has been my mom's motto for as long as I can remember. If I could get a quarter for every time I heard it, I would be a modestly rich man, and so would these guys. It's one thing that she instilled in us every single day of our lives. And you know, it could be anything. If we were reading a book, we were saying, read 10 pages, and she'd go, well, why don't you go the extra mile and read 15? Or you have a 98 grade average, well, go ahead, go the extra mile, do the extra credit, get it up to 100 if you can. But she not only preached that to us kids, she truly lived by it. As anyone can see, Mom's gone the extra mile for this university. She's accomplished so many great things during her time that are truly remarkable. You can walk through this university and see the fruits of her labor and her vision. It's changed dramatically since I graduated 10 years ago. I can hardly recognize it now. It's changing every day. The student union, the baseball field, the football field, the nursing program, it makes me truly proud to be an alumni of this university. And beyond just that, the intangible things of being with students, the faculty, is one thing that I'll never forget because everybody reminds me of how great you are. Whenever I talk to them, they always remember. But even past this university and her career there, Mom went the extra mile for her family. Sorry. She was able to come home every night, help with homework, prepare dinner, practice piano, and just watch a movie. It was great. And I'm sure she was exhausted the whole time. And because of that, I believe some of Mom's greatest accomplishments are clearly evident through her family. First, she was and is an extremely loving wife to my father, Rick, which we know couldn't have been easy. But together, these two were able to raise what I consider to be an exceptional family. First, there was the firstborn Brett. This extremely goofy gentleman right over here became a successful psychiatrist in the OKC area. When we were prepping ideas, he wanted to remind me that his first career aspiration was to be a trash man. And I don't say that because it's the wrong profession. I say it because if he had chosen that, Mom would have made sure he would have been the best trash man out there. Overall, I consider Brett personally the most like Mom, in that they have pure intelligence, they have a proclivity to problem solve, and their max distance of throwing a football is about 10 yards. Then there's me. I'm the third eldest. The only thing that I ever remain angry at my mom for is allowing me to follow in her footsteps and becoming an accountant. It's gross. I don't like it, but you know, what to do. Other than that, I'm not really sure what else I got from her because, as my brother so kindly put it, I don't really look like the rest of my family, so they call me FedEx. But in reality, without her example, there's no way I'd be where I am today without her. Then there's little Ricky Jr. over here, Drew. Drew figured out early on that the best way to take advantage of your parents' success was to move back to Alba and literally take advantage of your dad's business. Kidding. He's become a successful attorney here, he's done well. But without Mom, he reminds me of Mom a lot, that he's very patient, humble, able to look at the bigger picture, and I love you. And lastly, there was Allison, the only girl of the family, and she knew it. Allison graduated from Northwestern and then became an amazing professor here in the Mass Communications Department. And like Mom, she had an extreme passion for education, this university, and its students. Not only that, but she had an unconditional love for her family and friends. And if she was here, she would have been the obvious choice to give this speech because frankly, we're idiots and we're not very good at it. However, the success of my mom's family does not stop with just her immediate children. The branch of her families continue to grow and expand. She now has 5 wonderful grandkids, Jaden, Chloe, Lennox, Brooklyn, and Zane. If you know them, these kids, they are undoubtedly going to do great things, and they're going to be highly inspired by my mom. So in closing, when I talk about my mom's career, and when we were talking about this, we look past her professional career. We look at her second job and the many hours she put in, raising us and being the most successful and amazing wife, mother, and grandmother. So although she will undoubtedly go down as one of the greatest presidents this university has ever seen, I know for a fact that she will go down as the greatest mother this world's ever seen. So Mom, congratulations on your retirement, and I can't wait to see what going the extra mile brings you in your next adventure. We love you, and Ride Rangers Ride.
My name is Bo Hanford, and before I do my presentation, I want to tell Ethan you did a great job. But as I am fixing to embark on my first Boston PLC trip, he put me into a little bit of panic. After you got done talking, I turned to my wife and I said, whatever we do, we cannot lose any students. It is my pleasure to represent our senior staff tonight in recognizing our first gentleman of Northwestern Oklahoma State University, Rick Cunningham. And Todd, if you want, you can come up and help, but this is going to be fun. So it's not only President Cunningham that we honor tonight, but we're also celebrating Rick's commitment, his service, and his support to Janet and our Northwestern community over the years. Rick has always been a wonderful ambassador to Northwestern and to our communities here in Northwest Oklahoma. I had the pleasure to work with Rick on City Council, on our hospital board, and finally, after 24 years of service on those boards, he's decided to retire as well and leave us, which we're not happy about. But during that time, I can tell you I've learned that Rick is intelligent, he's thoughtful, he shows great composure, and he has a great sense of humor, which we needed a lot sometimes. These attributes have served the people of our community very well over the years that he served. In addition, I also had opportunities to go to a lot of events with Rick, whether it's events like this, sporting events, regents, concert, you name it. We've gone to a lot of different things. And I tended to gravitate towards Rick, and somehow we always would end up talking about Alvin back in the day and talking about all the things that we liked. He was very generous. A lot of times when he was telling stories, he would mention my family, which I appreciated a lot. I think that shows the compassion that he has for people. More than anything, it's very easy to see how Rick loves Janet and his family. Rick, we appreciate your commitment to Northwestern and to higher education across the state. And at this time, I would ask Rick to come up, stand to my right here as I present a few parting gifts to help in your transition in this life of retirement with Janet. While he's coming up here, because I do have some regents here, and both Rick and I know Dr. Pankey very well, no university funds were used in the purchasing of these gifts. So David, the budget, we're good. So the first thing we're very excited about as a senior staff, Rick and Janet and the family are taking a vacation, a very well-deserved vacation. They're going on a cruise. I told you about the longevity on city council and his years as attorney, so we were worried a little bit about his safety. So to make sure that he is safe, maybe while he's in the pool, we wanted to present him with a floaty because safety was important. The other thing, we have several, so just bear with me. If you know Rick, Janet and Rick have lived in the university housing for a long time. And he's taken a lot of pride. And although they do have help at the house with custodians coming over, Rick, very similar to myself, very, very clean, very tidy, helps out a lot at the house, outside of the house. And I know over the years, for 16 years, Janet is going to expect that as they move back to their home. So we have cleaning supplies for Rick to make sure that he still does his chores and takes care of the house. The next thing, if you're ever around the campus, especially in the mornings or at lunch, after work, Rick is diligent about taking Janet to work, dropping her off, picking her up for lunch, several times even picking her up after work. Now remind you, I could throw a rock to the house right now. But every day, diligently, he did that. And we actually started to try to figure out how many times that might have been. And I think we quit about 50 to 60,000 times. We decided we couldn't go any longer. Next, he also does a lot of great things for his family. And a little bit of an inside joke, but I know they do a lot of babysitting. Sometimes they even watch pets. We wanted to make sure that you had a dog leash.
We don't watch pets anymore.
And if you need to know the story, you can ask me or any of the senior staff later. I need to go back. With the driving, of course, since he dropped off, and again, David mentioned, Janet does, we often drive, and Rick often drives. So I got you a little gift card, to help out with gas, as gas prices have gone up a little bit. Finally, as a serious gift, Rick has been a great supporter. We know he will continue, and he's a part of our Ranger family. And as you come back, got you a little gift card at the Ranger bookstore just so you can make sure that you get your Ranger gear. And of course, we had to give him an official certificate of appreciation for being the first gentleman of Northwestern Oklahoma State University. Make sure he gets home with all that. Yes. Well, finally, I've done this a lot of times, and it's bittersweet. But it's my honor and my pleasure to introduce and bring forward our president, Dr. Janet Cunningham.
Thank you all so much, and on the way up here, I'm thinking, okay, I have to follow Ethan, who is fabulous, Dr. Turner, President Turner, who is quite a singer, and believe me, he is quite a singer, and your words were so kind and so nice. I just have a few thank yous, and I'm going to try to keep it together. Thank you to Rick, and seriously, I could not have done any of this, be president, be a mom, be a grandmother without Rick. So thank you. Brett and Casey, Tanner and Aaron, Drew and Ashley, thank you for who you are. I'm so proud of all of you. I think we should have had the daughter-in-laws come up. It might have been a way different story, but we'll save that for another time. Our grandchildren who are not here, they would be incredibly bored because, Grandma's making PBJs and playing games and all of that, but Jaden, Chloe, and Lennox, and Brooklyn and Zane, and four of them, Chloe and Lennox, and Brooklyn and Zane are at the house, and we hope it's still standing when we get there. So, my extended family, Leon and Donna, Randy and Leanne, Carol, who had a long career here at Northwestern, started working before I did, and Rick's sister, Vicki, thank you all for being here so much. Your family supports you no matter what, and my family has been great at that. My friends since first grade, Brenda, Brady, they're in the back. I have two best friends. We started kindergarten together. Brenda came in first grade, and the three of us have made it just kind of a pact to meet at least once a year. Brenda moved back to Alva, so we see each other a little more often. Kathy's in Wichita. She was scheduled to be here. A little COVID exposure changed her plans, but hopefully we're going to see her next week. I appreciate all of you who've come this evening. I know that it's hard to take an evening out, and especially those of you who had to travel in. My Russo colleagues, presidents and regents, and Russo staff, thank you so much. I know the presidents had to present budgets and tuition and fees today. I hope it went well. So they had that to do in Oklahoma City and still made it here, so thank you. I read a quote today that said, it's an unknown author, and it said, the best time to start thinking about retirement is before your boss does. And so hopefully I have met the deadline in a good timeline. But again, the regents have been so supportive. 16 years, Regent Riley has been there. What did we decide? 14 of those, maybe 15 of those, and of course we're so proud to have Regent McDermott representing and to be from right here in Alva, and that's just wonderful. I want to thank Myra Davison, my current administrative assistant, and Linda Tutweiler, my former administrative assistant. I had to go through two. These ladies did such a wonderful job in keeping the office running, handling phone calls, scheduling my days and my nights sometimes, and sometimes guarding the door a few times. Thank you, ladies, for doing that. And senior staff, I know I have several current senior staff, or all my current senior staff, and many of my former senior staff. And if I have been recognized for any success, it's due to all of you. You've made it easy for me. I wasn't going to do this. Almost made it through. This place, Northwestern Oklahoma State University, is very special. And it's not just the place, it's the people. We have incredible faculty, administrators, staff, and students. And I'm so honored and so proud to have been a small part of Northwestern. The university is in good hands. Dr. Hannaford and I truly believe that. And I can't wait to see what great things is in the future for us. So thank you all.
So the challenging question becomes, how do you leave a lasting legacy for somebody that has dedicated their entire career to higher education, and even more importantly, to the Northwestern family? That has been the daunting question for the past few months. I want to thank Regents McDermott and Riley, and Sherman McCaffrey, the Executive Director for the Russo Board of Regents, for their help and guidance as we tackled this journey. Our speakers tonight all have one common theme: Dr. Cunningham's commitment to students. This is evident from the teaching in the classroom to attending all of these student events that were mentioned. President Cunningham's last major capital project was her determination to completely renovate South Hall, which is a female dorm here on campus. This building was constructed and housed its first occupants in the fall of 1966. Since that time, the facility has only seen minor cosmetic improvements. With her leadership and ability to pool financial resources together, we started a demo on this building right after the students vacated in May. This $5 million project will welcome female students back in the fall to a wonderful complex completely remodeled with furnishings and state-of-the-art portable furniture. Thanks to emergency approval by the NWOSU Board of Regents last week, I am honored to announce to you tonight that we will be renaming South Hall Cunningham Hall.
Ladies and gentlemen, if you look at your agenda in front of you, I'm dead last, and I've been thinking about that the whole time. I've not been looking forward to it. Janet, you are trusted, you're respected, and you're beloved by your colleagues, your students. We have a deal where we try not to look eye to eye when we go into this stuff. Students and our entire community. There are very few leaders that reach those achievements. It's amazing. Congratulations, job well done, my friend. What a legacy. Ladies and gentlemen, this concludes our evening. I hope you had a wonderful time. Please drive safe and feel free to give her a hug before you leave. Thank you very much.